All right. So here's the deal. I have been trying recently to try and break my previous record for this game, and I have not been successful yet, and it's been driving me a little crazy because some of my fails have been really goofy. I might make some sort of compilation of just taking all the times I failed and then just putting them into a single video with like funny meme sound effects. But for now, uh, I'm going to try and like have this game cooperate with me, and hopefully I will get a very good run, or potentially a record-ish run at some point in the next 2 hours. So I've got time. Let's see if it works. Thank you for the good luck wishes. I am going to need it. I can tell you that. And feel free to chat about whatever. I will try and respond to messages as I see them. But keep in mind that my attention will be kind of split between chat and the game, as usual. That's also why I titled the stream the way it is, keeping me sane, because this game is so goofy sometimes. I love it, but oh my goodness. So, for anyone who is watching this and does not understand how speedrunning this game works, it is very luck-oriented. If you do not have good luck, then you are not going to be going very fast. Everything from how things spawn to what specific things spawn will affect how fast you go, and there is very little control that you have over it that is currently understood. At some point, I want to hopefully dig into this game a lot more and figure out how its RNG works, and from there, see if I can emulate the game in some meaningful way that would allow me to try and make a tool-assisted speedrun of it. If we can do that, and like fully understand how the game determines what to do and why, then it'll be much easier to figure out how optimal runs can be performed. And if I can figure out how RNG manipulation works, I could potentially try to do that in some real-time contexts. Maybe, probably not. I have a suspicion about how RNG manipulation would work, though. Just right now, off the top of my head, every action that the player can take that isn't just straight up moving will spawn these bubble particles, right? And they're kind of random. So I imagine that dashing, well as any character, or inhaling from stage 9 onwards will advance RNG in some way. And that might lead to meaningful RNG manipulation. I don't know for sure yet, but it's possible. Again, I need to like dig into this game and actually figure out how to like decompile it in a meaningful way, or learn assembly so I can read the game directly. One of the two. They both sound like hell. on, give me a black pearl. Give me a black pearl. Yes, it would. The problem is that there's not very large communities for them, especially here in the West. So, yeah, basically anyone who would want to do that would be treading new ground, or they'd have to like talk to the people who program the game and hope that you can like get some meaningful information from them. But I wanted to do that like over the summer, is just email one of the creators and be like, hey, can I interview you about Feeding Frenzy? But I never got around to doing that because my Mario Kart hyperfixation took over, as is probably evident from my 15-minute video or whatever explaining the fake item box. I don't know a whole lot about Bookworm Adventures. I'm assuming it's sort of like an RPG-like game, right? Because of the name. A lot of practice helps me go this fast. I'm essentially spamming the dash and just practicing how to react quickly to things happening on screen. And just having a good feel for how fast each fish moves and why. Someone's back. Someone is back indeed, Dudfruit. Welcome in. Spell big words to defeat enemies. That makes sense given what I know about Bookworm. There is a dash button. It's left mouse for me, because I'm on computer. I will consider playing Bookworm Adventures. The problem is that I am sometimes a bit stupid, and while I use big words, I don't always see in front of me how I'm supposed to spell them, given certain words. You know? Oh. Okay. Thank you, Golden Minnow, for cooperating. Oh my goodness. Holy shit, that was an awesome stage 7. What the hell? Dude, Golden Minnow to Black Pearl true combo. Holy shit. Dude, RNG is nuts. See, I was mentioning that earlier. Just like if you don't have good luck, you just don't get to go fast. That's an example of getting to go fast. Jesus Christ. Of course, I don't really know if these starfish bubbles technically are cooperating with me in terms of their spawns. I don't think they were. That felt kind of slow. Dude, it's always whenever I'm streaming that more black pearls show up. I don't know why. Dudfruit, you remember that time when I got like 4 black pearls on one... Yeah! 4 black pearls on one stage. Oh, and there's Golden Minnow. Yeah, I don't know why crazy stuff like that happens, specifically whenever I have people in chat with me. Oh my god. Dude, what is this RNG? What is going on? I'm not complaining. That being said, I would like for this RNG to continue all the way through Orville, if possible. Hello. I should mention that in one of my recent attempts, like last night, I did set a couple of individual level records that I should submit at some point, but I just haven't gotten around to it. Maybe I'll do it alongside that stage 7 record I set. I don't know why I'm going for the stun bubbles. Why am I doing that? For those who are not aware, I should not be going for those stun bubbles because they slow down all of the spawns and make the game slower, which is the point of the power-up, but it does not help me in a speedrun. Okay, can a gold minnow show up now, please? Nope. Yes, okay, yes, I recognized the name. Also, thank you, Gold Minnow, for letting my death not be a complete waste. This is one of the stages that I set a new record on, by the way, last night. It was wild. I didn't realize that I was going to set a record for it until it suddenly happened. I was like, wait, I set a record for it? Because I have to constantly be looking at the fucking screen for blue pixels on a blue background, because this stage sucks. This is one of the worst stages in the entire game. Yes, asterisk. There is a Feeding Frenzy specific Discord that I created to help the community come together a bit more. Specifically, like, the modding side of the Feeding Frenzy scene and the speedrunning side of the Feeding Frenzy scene are pretty disconnected, so I created that Discord as a way to bring them together. It has kind of been working, I think. You could probably find it in one of my community posts here on YouTube. This is a bad stage, and I also saw the gold minnow earlier, so that's cool. You can probably find it in one of my community posts. If you join it and like sticking around for Feeding Frenzy stuff, go for it. I have had worse stage 14s, but whatever, man. I don't want to reset right now, especially after that insane stage 7. Okay. Making up for it with Black Pearl. Oh yeah, fun quirk about the parrotfish here. For some reason, the developers thought it would be funny to make them worth the same amount as those red surgeonfish over there. I don't know why. Invite link expired? Oh. Next time one of my runs fails, I will get an invite link and put it in chat. Are you able to, Dudfruit? If you can, then go for it. I don't know if I set it up for anyone. How the inhale works. I mean, I'm not 100% sure how all of it works. I know that there are some weird, just completely bizarre things about inhale that are pretty counterintuitive. Like, for one, if you inhale while you have iframes, you just lose them while you're inhaling. And I don't know why. Normally it's a hindrance, especially if you inhale at the very beginning of a stage or after you die. you can just immediately die, and that's, you know, bad. But it works on it's meta on exactly one stage, which is the final bonus stage for Eddie. Stage 28? No. Stage 24. Yeah, stage 24. It's meta on that stage because you have iframes after spawning, and you want to die as fast as possible to one of the barracudas, and they can spawn before your iframes expire. So you want to inhale them. And for some reason, because inhale gets rid of your iframes, there is just an inhale to die meta on that one stage, and literally nowhere else in the entire game. How many people speedrun this? About, like... I hesitate to say one, because technically, more than one person has speedran this game. But I am, like, the only consistently active person speedrunning this game right now. I think Evander sometimes speedruns it a couple times a year, but I am by far the most active person speedrunning it. But meta, yes, because there... you can, if you can beat the guy who held it for a year and 9 months before me. Because while not very many people speedrun it, the competition at the top is pretty fierce. To the degree that before I got the record, some of the community thought it was literally impossible to beat the current second place. If you want to go and do runs for this game, I encourage it. I want more competition and eyes on this game, because that's how we further the scene. But if you think second place is free, it absolutely is not. You have to put in a lot of work. I basically spent, 2 months, constantly speedrunning the game when I first started, just to get close to and then into first. And I'm already someone who was incredibly skilled at the game before starting speedrunning. I don't know if my rambling made 100% sense, but essentially, very few people play the funny fish game, but the people who speedrun it are very close to each other when it comes to top play. There is someone who recently set a new third place, and they were the third person to ever get a 32-minute time. But, outside of that, there hasn't been a whole lot of activity towards the top. Part of it is just because I have been failing a lot of runs, and the other part is that there haven't been a whole lot of people playing. So, I'm very glad that I never encountered any Fury Bubble glitches so far. I know that's possible because I've had it happen to me before, not during a run, but during casual play. If you don't know what the Fury Bubble glitch is, it is awful. It basically soft locks your game, and you have to start over. So for top 10, that's pretty realistic for just someone getting in. I think. I don't remember what 10th place's time is. But as long as you can beat the game in under 40 minutes, you have a very good shot at a top time. Bye, shield. Bye, shield. Yes, Fury Bubble glitch ruins runs. It doesn't happen very often. It's a pretty rare glitch, but It's truly awful. Okay, this is the inhale meta stage I was talking about. Also, inhale applies a force on anything within it, even hazards, except for oysters and pearls, because they don't move. But everything else, it applies a constant force towards the player's mouth hitbox. So even if you don't have iframes anymore, you still want to inhale on that stage anyway, because it'll draw the Barracuda towards you. And the reason you want to die on bonus stages is just to skip them, as seen before. Thank you, Golden Minnow. Yes, inhale displacement is very important. Iframe, that's short for invincibility frame. So any period of time where you are invincible, that is time that's filled with iframes. Oh my god. I'm very conflicted about this stage, because on one hand, it's very easy to get black pearls here. On the other hand, why green anglerfish and poison minnows? This game has a really bad problem of like having a bunch of things that are the same color, and you're supposed to avoid some of them and not others. At the beginning of the game, there's just a lot of things that are yellow or brown, and then towards the end of the game, there's a bunch of things that are gray. For that matter, you can argue that the very last level background in the entire game is a gray background. So there's just gray on top of gray on top of gray, and it's awful. And that's part of the reason why I hate the last couple levels of this game. Of course, it gives me a black pearl when it doesn't matter. Screw accessibility? Yeah. This game was made like 20 years ago, so accessibility wasn't as much of a widespread concern back then, but it doesn't make it acceptable to ignore, you know? Reverse engineered Feeding Frenzy 2? That's awesome. Rip Black Pearl. Do they know how... Wait. Okay, so that's new record for that level. Anyway. Dude, golden minnows are insane. I was just like, hey, you want to beat the stage fast? I see that you're a little behind with your time. I'm flubbing this stage, though. Where is it? There we go. Yeah, this game gets crazy. Good RNG in this game is insane. This is the stage where I need to focus. Literally, it was just throwing me a bone, like, here, go for it, try it. Now, can the next gold minnow spawn in a place where I can access it? I might have missed it. Okay. Oh! There we go. Dude! What is going on? All I needed to do was just stream an attempt. I would start giving me the good luck again. Work on a collab between the Chinese. Like the Chinese version of the game or the Chinese side of the community? Oh yeah, also, that was an example of inhale displacement. I used it to kill the tuna. Chinese side of the community, okay. Yeah, so for those unaware, while this game is not very popular out here in the West, it is extremely popular in China because it's one of the few games that is allowed in China. On like a widespread scale, anyway. Because there's not a whole lot of communication between the Chinese and international communities. There is some, like, one of the speedrun.com moderators for this game is part of the Chinese community. And they actually made the auto splitter that I'm currently using. But it's just a communication thing. Similar sort of thing with Plants vs. Zombies, except Plants vs. Zombies is also popular here in the West. So, you know how, like, if you're familiar with Plants vs. Zombies lore, the lore of the game, not lore of the story within the game, then you are aware that there is Chinese Plants vs. Zombies 2 that has so much more stuff than international Plants vs. Zombies 2. And that's because the Chinese community for PvZ2 and PvZ as a whole is really big. To the degree that there are like 3, maybe just 2 different, like 3 or 2, some number of different versions of the original PvZ. Just in China. Of course, the Chinese have their own PvZ too. Yes, they do, with like far more plants, and it only sometimes affects the international versions. Sometimes it'll be like, oh, the international version's got a plant from the Chinese games today. But then there's other things that's like, oh yeah, Plantern from PvZ 1 literally only appears in Chinese PvZ 2 for some reason. And if I want to like make a Plants vs. Zombies fan game, I will often consult the Chinese Plants list for any ideas that I could quote unquote borrow. I didn't need that shield anyway. This is why I really hate the stages towards the end of the game. It's just, oh yeah, we're gonna throw all of the gimmicks at you at once. Also, I don't know if I've complained about this yet, but the hitboxes for the sharks, they are so deceptive. I hate the shark hitboxes. Not for like them eating the player, for you eating them. There goes a black pearl. Because the sharks are big, they're the biggest fish. They will produce the most points when you eat them, but you have to actually eat them in order to get the points. And you can't eat them for some reason, even though like you're clearly touching them. It's just poor hitboxing. I think that this game would benefit from everything having 2 hitboxes, right? You would have one hitbox for when the fish is considered bigger than you, and another hitbox for when it's considered smaller than you. That way it's easier to dodge things when they're bigger than you, but not harder to eat them when they're smaller than you. No, don't. Oh my god. I was hoping that the beat a level and also die glitch would activate. No such fucking luck. Okay. I think this run might be dead, but I'm gonna see it through. I know that Evander wants me to get a 32-ish minute time on stream again, so I want to at least do that. And there's technically time to be made up on stage 40 because my record, as it currently exists, does stage 40 really poorly, but, you know, this is not going to be a sub 30. I don't even think it's going to be a record. Both of those are things that I want to do soon, is sub 30, and by extension get the record again. I currently hold the record, but I want to, you know, lower it more, because I know it can go lower. aforementioned stage 40 flubbing being the main culprit. The current world record is a 3220. No, what am I saying? It's a 3046. It's at the very bottom of my life split. I was reading the wrong the wrong thing. That's the predicted time, which is I mean, I guess it could be true. Can this shark leave me alone, please? Thank you. No worries. There's a lot happening on the more interesting side of the screen. Sub 30 would be awesome. It has not been done yet, but I think sub 30, what it represents would mean more than the other minute barriers that have been broken thus far, which is that it would be possible to beat the game twice within the length of its demo. Because the Feeding Frenzy 1 demo is 1 hour long, and it is so close to being possible to beat it twice within the length of the demo. But it's not there yet. It's theoretically possible. Just not there yet. Cool, thanks, Shark. I need to go fast here anyway. I'm also hoping for a fast stage 39. I should mention that stage 39 is also just an awful stage. It's entirely based off of mine spawning, which was the same as the first bonus stage that I skipped back when I was still playing as a lionfish. But because this level area is so large, you have to go across the entire thing to check for mines. And there's fucking poison minnows everywhere that flip your controls around. It's just awful. Even in terms of, like, playing it normally, it still sucks. And by playing it normally, I mean, like, playing it like a casual player. Though in the case of a casual player, it's just like, oh, this is extremely easy, it's a freebie stage, there's no challenge, because there's very little reason to interact with the mines at all. Focus for a second. Thank you, Black Pearl. And then this stage also kind of sucks in general. Oh my god, how did I live that? I thought for sure that I was gonna die. Oh yeah, one of the reasons why this stage sucks so much is that the tunas here stop spawning when you get to the final phase. Which ordinarily wouldn't be all that bad, because like the yellow surgeonfish on stage 6 stops spawning when you get to the final phase. But the thing about this stage is that the Shark King that constantly flies around and tries to kill you, eating him doesn't give you any points, or any... not points. Doesn't give you any progress within the level. So you're just stuck with the tiny fish that do barely anything, or the oysters, which isn't interesting, and sometimes get blocked off by jellyfish. And there's a 32-minute time. So I did beat this faster than my current record, because my current record, again, did it pretty poorly. But it's not like I did it particularly quickly either. I want to at least get consistent with getting stage 40 down to a minute and a half, which is possible. My best of all time for stage 40 is a 1:18. Ugh. I want to reset my live split though, so I'm going to exit it and then reopen it. Thanks for the GGs. I gotta resize everything again. It doesn't remember the window sizing for some reason. I don't know why. I can now officially just send this stream to Evander. I think it's already in the Discord though. Oh, that reminds me, I need to get an invite link. Yeah. Really, Discord? Oh, create a new invite. Okay. Let me copy the invite. It copies the hidden use copy button text. Come on. Hold on. Why am I not? Okay. This should be a valid invite. So if you want to join the Frenzy Zone, which is the Feeding Frenzy specific Discord, it's not for my channel, it's just for Feeding Frenzy, the game series, which includes the first game and the second game. It includes casual play, speedrunning, and modding, but I think most people there aren't casual players, it's just modders or speedrunners. So if you're interested in Feeding Frenzy, or how speedruns work or how mods work, go for it. If you're not, but you still want to keep an eye out for weird things happening in either community, because they do happen every now and then. We usually talk about those kind of things. And if you just like playing the game casually, then by all means. I'm gonna take a drink of water real quick. You almost talked to him on Reddit? That's crazy. Okay. So I have plenty of time for more runs. I gotta get off in a little over an hour because I want to be respectful of my neighbors up, down, whatnot. But for now, we have enough time to just grind up more runs. At least 2 more, anyway. Assuming that I do not instantly commit fish fillet. You almost saw it right there. That I died to that lionfish. But like you can see what I mean here of like everything is the same color towards the very beginning and very end of the game. At least the backgrounds and the player are different towards the beginning. because they're blue and pink as opposed to the yellow that everything else is. But yeah, a lot of the very beginning and very end of the game is pretty samey, and that really sucks. And again, on the screw accessibility side of this game, that bonus stage I was talking about earlier, much earlier, like half an hour ago, that had a bunch of blue fish on a blue background going really fast, yeah, that sucks. I'll point it out again when we get to it. Or if we get to it, I guess it's technically possible that I just keep dying on Andy. For an hour. It's happened before, I think. You may also notice that at the end of each stage, I try and get everything off screen as fast as possible. That's because once everything is off screen, the level is allowed to end. I don't know why that's the requirement they put in the game. I mean, I think I do. It's so that the player doesn't feel like they're going to die. But it makes for an interesting speedrunning experience. Where you're just like, oh my god, everything, get away from me! I've also had moments where normally the fish try and swim to the nearest side of the screen so that they can, you know, go away faster. But I've had some times where one of them will just swim to the wrong side of the screen and just be like, okay, I need to get rid of you, or else you're going to artificially inflate this level's length. I make it seem like there's a lot of issues with this game, but I love it. I promise. I promise I love this game. I would really like some Black Pearls game. See, the game and I have a love-hate relationship. Which is that I love the game and hate its RNG sometimes, and the game loves to hate me. I mean, this was originally created for computers, but this is an arcade-style game. In the sense that, like, it translates very well to arcades. There are actual arcade cabinets for Feeding Frenzy. And I saw a cabinet at my local arcade that looked like it might have Feeding Frenzy on it, but no such luck. It advertised Feeding Frenzy, but it didn't actually have the game on it. I was like, oh man, I wanted to, like, style in front of some people in person, right? Unfortunately, no. Arcade said no, because no Feeding Frenzy.
Feeding Frenzy. Double Frenzy.
The frenzy meter there at the top is reminding me. I've had this idea for a while now, as sort of a, if you want to get into speedrunning this game, here's something you should practice. Which is, if you want to speedrun the game, practice maintaining double frenzy for an entire stage. No specific stage in mind, pick whichever stage you like. I'd recommend doing so with one of the later stages, but just whichever stage you want, try and maintain double frenzy for the entire thing. Because that's a very important metric, is being able to do things quickly, and double frenzy runs out after time. RIP Golden Minnow. I'll be styling on them, because I hold the world record! I'd be going so fast. I mean, technically it would be an arcade system, so it would be different. Okay, I don't need no stinking gold minnow anyway, I guess. Yes, fish eaten per second. That's a perfect way of putting it. And I do concede that since it would be an arcade cabinet, I would not necessarily be guaranteed to be silent on them. God, this stage is awful. I made a tier list at one point of all the stages in this game, and this took last place. Like, there are stages that throw every gimmick at you. There are stages where everything looks exactly the goddamn same. This one is just the worst one. It is so bad. You know how in game design, you want your hazards and your goals to complement each other, right? So that way they can interact in some like unique way or interesting way that don't overshadow each other, you know? In that stage, everything moves in the exact same way. And sometimes they can just spawn inside of each other. And it's just like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do now? And the answer is lose. Or you can be like me and have a golden minnow randomly spawn near you in the next stage, but I don't think that's specific to me. But yeah, crazy thing about pufferfish. For some reason, throughout the entirety of Feeding Frenzy 1, pufferfish are usually the most valuable thing on screen for you to eat at any given time. They're always worth going for, unless you literally cannot eat them for some reason, like they're puffed up or you're smaller than them. There is exactly one exception. There is one exception to that rule, just like everything, which is this stage right here, because on this stage, there are pufferfish that are medium-size and anglerfish that are large-size, and the large-size anglerfish are more valuable than the medium-sized pufferfish. And this is the only stage where there is anything that you can eat other than a black pearl or gold minnow that is more valuable than a pufferfish. I don't understand this game. Oh yeah, if the speed of the starfish bubbles and the jellyfish were different on stage 8, then it would be much better. At least make the starfish bubbles noticeably faster, as opposed to only slightly faster sometimes. Right? Because Andy can't inhale, so it's not like you can pull the bubbles away from the jellyfish. Why is there no pearl there? There we go. This has not been a very fast run so far, for my standards. I'm hoping that changes here. And this is the blue on blue I was talking about earlier, where everything's moving super fast and is the same color, except for the player. But, like, the player is not the thing that you want to be looking at on this stage. And it's the only thing that's noticeably different. It's the only source of, like, distinct visual information here. Oh yeah, also welcome to the one lionfish stage without an oyster. I keep forgetting that this is the one Leon stage without an oyster. I always go down to the bottom like, oh yeah, I need to camp by the oyster. No, there's no oyster. Oyster machine broke. Back here. That was probably a bad gold minnow, but I don't care. I got it. I asserted my dominance. Yeah, bad gold minnow. I'm also very appreciative that the poison minnow mechanics are different in this game than Feeding Frenzy 2. Because I do not want to have to deal with A, spitting out the poison minnow, or B, having the enemies spit out poison minnows, like fucking projectiles. Yeah, I T-posed on it. You know, technically, since these are all sprites, they were 3D models, but they got turned into sprites for the game. Since these are all sprites, would the equivalent of a T-pose be the missing graphics image? Bad minnow better than no minnow? Yes. Yeah, that's probably true. Not always. Sometimes a bad minnow can lead you straight into danger, and that's bad. But, you know, sometimes it's better than nothing. See, here's the thing. Feeding Frenzy 2 calls them golden herrings, but they're still golden minnows. They use the same graphics as Feeding Frenzy 1, whereas herrings are an entirely different thing in that game. I don't know why they're called golden herrings. They could have just called it a golden minnow, and to be consistent with the first game. Oh my god. Thank you for getting out of my way, John Dories. Oh my god. It's a red herring. Actually, that makes me wonder if it would have made more sense for the shield fish in Feeding Frenzy 2 to be colored red instead of rainbow. As it is, they're just gay fish, which is fine. But if they were actually red, because they use a graphic in the game that is herring. If there was a red herring, then that would be extremely funny. I'm not upset with gay fish, but, you know. We do support the gay fish. You know, that reminds me. The fish I'm currently playing as right now, Eddie, he's an anglerfish, which doesn't mean anything on the surface, but he's an anglerfish with a lure. And anglerfish with lures, in real life, are always female. But Eddie, the anglerfish, uses he, him, which means that this one fish in this one stupid, not accessible fish game from 2004 is a transgender character. And I love that for him. Trans anglerfish, real. It's like the dumbest piece of trivia for this game ever. And I love it. What's even funnier is that this game is like, oh yeah, we're going to provide little fun facts about different fish after you beat each level. And some of them are legitimate fun facts, like actual facts. Some of them are just kind of wrong, but then you have this, where it's like, oh yeah, trans fish, by accident. This was not on purpose, I assure you. Why do all the black pearls spawn on this stage where I don't need them? But yeah, this stage is like, oh yeah, this game is like, oh yeah, we're gonna give a bunch of fun facts. We're gonna educate the people playing the game, which are probably children, and then they accidentally made a trans character. It's like the most PopCap thing I can think of. just from having played a certain amount of PopCap games in my time, this is a very PopCap thing to do. God, Orchid, get away from me. I don't want to tail bite you, I swear. I am not immortal anymore. This all being said, we do love the rep. I, as a trans person, love having trans anglerfish in my silly fish game that's older than my brother.
Feeding frenzy. Double frenzy.
The crazy thing about this game,
Double frenzy.
in terms of its age, right? Because now I've mentioned its age, so now I gotta go on this tangent. There are people who are currently attending college who are not in their first year of college, who are younger than this game. And not only that, but that's still true of people who are over a year younger than this game. Hell yeah, trans flags all the way. Because this game is turning 21 years old next February. Also, wait, did I set a record on Deepwater Dreams? The game turns 21 in 2 months. So, it's at the tail end of 20. Bye, gold minnow. That would have been a great gold minnow, too. Insert graphics into a stage intro so the fish can be animated. What do you mean, like, oh, like on the start screen, before the stage starts? Like, this? Yeah, this game has, like, I don't know how to describe it. I have a lot of nostalgia for it, because I played it essentially as early as I can remember. Like, it would not be an exaggeration for me to say that I have played it for the entire time it was out. I am also older than this game. Older by, like, a year and a half. Weird. I mean, when I was doing test mods of this game, I didn't see anything that would suggest that the graphics for the intro stage necessarily needed to be like a PNG. I guess it just needs to like have a file path and a file extension that the game can recognize. I just didn't know that it recognized GIF. I thought it was just JPEG and PNG, and then XML. When you were 8? Yeah. From what I understand, there's like a bunch of people that are like, oh yeah, I remember that game. I played it like once when I was a kid, and then never again. Like, I've seen multiple YouTube videos that start essentially like, oh yeah, I've seen this game before, or they're talking about the second one, which is more popular because PopCap themselves developed and then released it, rather than Sprout, who had no association with PopCap until this game, this first game existed. Oh, hi, Black Pearl. Dude, Peggle was awesome. I keep passing up opportunities to get Peggle again and play it, and I don't know why. Peggle is such a good game. That being said, the PopCap game I personally played the most of when I was a kid was Plants vs. Zombies. For that matter, I remember looking up on YouTube how to beat The Last Stand back when YouTube was a new thing. Or relatively new. Plants vs. Zombies is younger than YouTube, but that feels anachronistic, you know. I remember looking up on YouTube, like, how do I beat The Last Stand? Because I was just a dumb baby child at the time who didn't understand gameplay tactics. And it gave me the what's it called? It gave me the... Why can I not think of the fucking word? I'm losing my goddamn mind. It gave me the tactic that I still use to this day, this very day, for Last Stand. Yeah. Though, I don't think liking PvZ is necessarily a super unique property among Gen Z, because PvZ literally took everyone by storm. Dude, I'm so far behind, I don't care. I'm just rambling at this point. That being said, I don't want to like put down like, oh yeah, you like PvZ, so did everyone. No, this is like, you like PvZ? Yeah, that makes sense. PvZ is a great game. Thank you, Gold Minnow. Oh my god, will this be fast tuna sashimi? Minecraft Feeding Frenzy 2 Kid, that makes... that is totally fine. I didn't want to say that makes sense because I don't know that much about you. But... Minecraft... I remember when I first heard about Minecraft, I was like... I didn't really hear all of its, like, actual gameplay pitch, right? I just heard some of my friends talking about it when it first came out, and they were like, oh yeah, I was like doing this thing and there were a bunch of spiders chasing me. I was like, I don't care about this game if it has fucking spiders chasing you. But then once I played it one time and I was like, okay, I'm sold. I remember specifically, like, I was in 5th grade. I was like, okay, which is better, Mario or Minecraft, to my friend group, and Mario won. But then that summer, I played Minecraft. I was like, oh, I'm on a Minecraft hyperfixation now. Couple of times, Minecraft all the time. That's totally fair. I think that the original Plants vs. Zombies should be a game that most people play if they want to play more video games, right? If they want to broaden their horizons and figure out what type of video game is for them, they should at least play Plants vs. Zombies as one of them, along with others like Mario, Kirby, Minecraft. You know, the extremely good games. I say Kirby, and I'm sure that there are a lot of people out in the world, not necessarily here, but just out in the world, who play a lot of video games who are like, who the fuck is Kirby? As someone who's currently hyperfixating on Kirby, I have to like tell people like, no, guys, Kirby is great. You have to play Kirby. Start a huge project in creative and then wouldn't finish it? Yeah! No, that's so real. Should have an early ADHD signal? Yeah. I sometimes wonder if I Okay. I sometimes wonder if I have ADHD, but I have no diagnosis, so I don't identify with it right now. I also sometimes wonder if I am big dumb, trademark, and I get that confirmed when oyster to the face occurs.
Double frenzy.
But hey, at least more black pearls.
Double frenzy.
This run has kind of been a train wreck this whole time.
Double
Oh,
frenzy.
bye shield.
Double frenzy.
Yeah, weird thing about the Fury Bubble. For some reason, it can just delete poison minnows. If you go through them, then you can eat the poison minnow and not gain any ill effects. And then same thing with mines, you can just go through them and nothing happens to you. I don't know why. Undiagnosed stupid's pretty damn sure. Yeah, that's valid. Dude, the fucking John Dory stole my pearl. This run is cursed.
Double frenzy.
Yummy poison, I guess. You still get negative points if you touch one, even though it's completely beyond your control. Wait. Thank you. Dude, shield bubble came in clutch there. Okay. Quick meta drop. The shield makes you immune to oysters. For some reason, oysters just can't hurt you when you have a shield. There is nothing else in the game that is capable of dealing damage that doesn't remove a shield, except for oysters.
Feeding frenzy.
They're the only thing that just doesn't interact with shields but can deal damage.
Double frenzy.
So you just become invincible to them. This was fixed in the sequel, and it kind of sucks. But then again, Feeding Frenzy 2 doesn't really have oyster strats. More so just like, damn it! No! Okay, well now I need a gold minnow to go fast here. No oyster strats here. I don't know how to describe Feeding Frenzy 2 strats. Because, like, Feeding Frenzy 2, despite, you know, literally being the sequel, is a very different game than Feeding Frenzy 1. Like, Inhale was reworked, Oysters were reworked, I don't want to say Mines were reworked, but, like, Fury Bubble was reworked, Stun might have been reworked to a degree, Shield was reworked. Like, all of the broken stuff about this game got completely redone for Feeding Frenzy 2, which makes sense because Feeding Frenzy 2 is much more polished, like Dudfruit is saying here. But, you know, a lot of the broken stuff from this game is why I like it so much. Like, this game is a glitchy, broken mess, and that's why I love it. It's like Super Mario 64, you know? Except this one didn't pioneer a game genre. Okay, I'm ending this run. This run is cursed. This game did not pioneer a game genre like Super Mario 64 did. It just allows you to swim straight into a tuna as an orca and die. Oh my god. But the glitches are all the same. Like, there's some crazy shit in this game that you can pull off. For example, we currently are aware. Are there parallel universes? No, but I have something that is potentially as strange. So someone discovered a glitch earlier this year, I think. It was like over the summer or something, where if you mash left click fast enough when going to the next stage, there is the potential to skip it and go more than one stage forwards at a time. Currently, that glitch is banned because it's very unreliable, and it's kind of based off of the computer's processing speed, I think. Because if your game runs slower, you have a larger window to perform it. The crazy thing, I have a video on my channel that shows this glitch pushed almost completely to its extreme, where I manually mash in the 1.0 version of the game, which runs very slow and is overall just a slower game. Not in terms of just like, oh yeah, things happen slower, but also it's far more glitchy in bad ways, and turning around physics are different, and if you want to speedrun with it, it's just a bad idea in general. But it also gives a very wide window to just skip all the levels in the game. So I have a video on my channel where I manually mash left click as fast as I can, and I beat the game in just over 2 minutes after playing 2 stages. And in theory, if you mash fast enough and have a large enough window with like a slow enough computer, you could potentially beat the game in under a minute after playing just the first stage by skipping the 39 other stages after it just by mashing left click. It's insane. It hasn't been accomplished yet because, again, it's banned because there's not a consistent way to pull it off. But a couple days ago, Evander did float around the idea of like adding another category that was like any percent with warps, which is what that glitch would be allowed for. We call it level warping because skipping is something different. That's for bonus stages. Whereas this, you're warping forwards multiple stages at a time. So it's possible that once we understand the glitch better and have more consistent setups for it, that it'll have its own category. And then at that point, I'll have to see if I can hold a world record there. We'll find out! Sounds like Super Mario 64? Yeah, exactly. But instead of backwards long jumping, you're just touching a shell until the universe collapses. Because all of the buttons in this game are shells. Or bubbles, if you're on the title screen, but they're shells when doing this glitch, so. You touch a shell until the universe breaks and allows you to win the game. It's also, I guess, theoretically possible to modify the game to remove all of the stages after the first one, but like, modifying the game is super obvious.
Feeding frenzy. Double frenzy.
Holy shit, that felt fast. That was fast. I almost never gain time on stage 2.
Double frenzy.
What the fuck? I don't know why I keep going for the timer bubbles. They literally don't do anything for me. Dude, could you imagine if the timer bubbles were like wired up to live split and made your time faster?
Double frenzy.
Why do I keep going for them? I need to stop. I need to stop. This is a holdover from casual play. Okay, that one was just in my path. I wasn't specifically going for it. Anyway, the reason I feel confident myself mashing left click to go to the next stage as fast as possible here is because this is not the 1.0 version of the game, and I have not been able to get the glitch to work on this copy of the game on my computer. I've seen it happen on a different version of the game, on a different computer, and I believe it. I've heard that one of the speedrun.com moderators got it to work on this version on their computer with a macro that let them click 1,000 times per second, but, you know, that's 1,000 times per second. I can't do that. I actually measured it. I can go at about 80. Which, ironically... Okay, that's an example of everything being the same color. I thought that was a school of fish. Weirdly, me mashing at 80 times a second does not let me skip 80 levels in 1 second. It just lets me skip 20 in 1 second. I've tested how far I can warp just with my own fingers mashing, and it's about 20 stages. Give one, take maybe 5. Rip run, yeah, that happens pretty often. What I do is that if I die at all during Andy, it's early enough in the run that I can afford to just reset. Andy as a whole takes like 5 minutes, so, you know, I'm losing 5 minutes of time, sort of. Not really, because it lets me optimize everything. If I die early on in Leon, then sometimes I'll reset for that. It depends on how I'm feeling and how good my Andy was, you know. Which ironically is like, if I have a decent Andy and die early on to Leon, I'm like, I could probably still see where this goes. If I have a great Andy, I might want to reset so that I can get another great Andy and have a great Leon. And if I have just a terrible Andy and then I die early on to Leon, I'm just like, screw this. I can do better. And again, it's not that bad because I lose maybe 10 minutes at most. It is per run that I lose, but could be worse. This is more of a marathon, not a sprint, you know. Even though I am flying through stages... Oh, Black Pearl, let's go. I am flying through the stages. This is absolutely a marathon kind of run and not a sprint. Each individual level, now that is a sprint. Okay, so 2 Black Pearls, if I count correctly. So, that is ideally what I want for every stage 4, is 2 Black Pearls. I do not always get 2 Black Pearls. I don't always get 1 Black Pearl, and I should be resetting if I don't get a Black Pearl on stage 4. But recently I haven't been doing that. I should also be resetting for bad gold minnow in stage 7, but I haven't been doing that recently either. So for the longest time, when I was looking through the sound effects for this game, I was like, yeah, okay, so it has the sound effect for the oyster closing, but what about when the sound effect when the oyster kills something, right? Because it sounds so much different. It's louder, it's deeper, you know? What I learned after a while was that it was just the regular oyster kill sound effect, just pitched down. So weird. It's not what I would have expected. It makes perfect sense, but I was like, oh, that's weird. It doesn't sound anything at all. They don't sound alike to me. At least from first listen. Dude, what is with stage 7 giving me Black Pearls? What is going on? There's gold minnow. Yeah. And still, there are unused sounds in this game. There's an unused sound called like angler lure loop, which is I think a holdover from when different playable characters had different abilities, because that's a thing that there's a decent amount of evidence that different fish had different abilities early on in development, or at least to the point where certain things still exist in the code for that suggest different abilities. Because Inhale was not originally just the default ability. If you were to modify the game, then what you would see is that every fish that can inhale, their class is John Dory player, or JD player.
Feeding frenzy.
Because
Double frenzy.
originally, this is my theory, the only playable fish that could inhale was JD, the fourth one. And my evidence for this is that in real life, John Dories have extendable jaws. Like, they can just sling their mouths at things. That's not even an exaggeration. You can look it up. And that
Feeding frenzy.
one of the stages in the final game for JD is called Sucker's Bet, and the internal name for a different one, which in the final game is called Stun 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 Boom, internally it's called Suck 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 Boom, which makes you think, oh, they're probably, playing off the fact that this character was originally the only one that could inhale, whereas anyone that wasn't Andy could inhale in the final game. Further evidence is that it is, of course, the angler lure loop unused sound,
Feeding
which
frenzy.
is a looping sound that I imagine was supposed to be used for Eddie's ability, involving his lure in some way. I don't know what it would have done. I've seen interpretations of it that are like bringing everything towards you. I don't necessarily know if that's what I would have done with it, but it's what some people have interpreted it as. That was a great stage 11, yes. And then other evidence. Right, there's an unused character called Spike the Pufferfish, who is a pufferfish, and as you can probably tell, it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for his ability to just be inhaling, because he's a pufferfish. It would make sense for his ability to be puffing up, right? A defensive thing. So I truly believe that at one point every playable fish had a different ability, and Andy was just, the tutorial for the basic controls. And then everyone else had some sort of special ability. The other abilities would have been. I wonder what they would have given to Orville. There's also an unused character called Max the Shark, and I wonder what they would have given to him. I genuinely don't know. Because, like, what's a special thing that orcas do that other fish, well, that fish, I guess, the fish in this game don't do, right? Aside from, like, murdering things, orcas are like, I don't know if an orca would lend itself very well to having a special ability like that. At least not in the same way as, like, oh yeah, the pufferfish puffs up, the anglerfish has a lure. Bite a lot? I mean, I guess. You get to bite the rudders off of ships, even though there are no ships here, because everything is underwater. Oh! Cool glitch game. Yeah, so that's a thing that happens sometimes. I don't know why. I think this is the first time I've caught it on stream, to my knowledge. If you grow at the same time you touch a mine, the mine blows up and you don't die. I don't know why this is a thing. It's definitely a glitch. I just don't know why it works like that. This is why we need decompilation efforts for this game. Let me understand this game. It is hiding its secrets from me. Such a bizarre glitch, too. Because, like, other times, it's like, oh yeah, you died at the same time you beat the level, so you do still die and go through a little death animation. Like, the text overlaps of, like, sorry because you died, and then, stage complete. The text will just overlap. It's so weird. But then with that, for some reason, it's just like, oh yeah, you both, you don't die at all. Even though it totally would have killed you in other scenarios. It's not like a consistent glitch at all. It might be a frame perfect thing. I wouldn't really know though. More testing would need to be done, and especially in a frame advance save state setting for like a task, but I don't have the tools right now. And even if I did, the best way for me to get tools for that would be through like an Xbox emulator, because this was re-released on the Xbox Live Arcade for the Xbox 360. But it's possible that this version that I speedrun and the Xbox version are different, and we just don't know yet. More testing needs to be done. Oh, rest in peace, Black Pearl. There's no way I was going to get to it in time, though. Ugh. Eddie might be transfish, but he is also super slow. Eddie is canonically the slowest character in the game, just because I've looked at the actual data for it, which doesn't require decompilation. It just requires a modifiable version of the game, or just a text editor that can peek into the exe file. So I can see like how fast these characters are supposed to be in terms of like their raw numbers. I don't know how that translates. That was a terrible gold minnow, oh my goodness. I don't know how that translates to like pixels per frame, for example, or how large a unit would be. But I do know that Eddie is the slowest character in the game. It doesn't necessarily feel like the slowest character in the game, because Leon has much higher drag, so it feels like you're going slower with Leon, even though you cover less ground with Eddie. But canonically, yes, Eddie is the slowest character in the game. Our fastest character in the game is actually a tie between Leon and Orville. They both have a speed of like 400. And then JD is this quote-unquote second fastest, technically third fastest because there's two ahead of him. And then Andy, and then Eddie is the slowest. And a dragfish? Yes. Leon canonically has more drag than the other fish. Which, now that I think about it, it makes me think maybe Leon's special ability is that he could turn faster. Or at least that's the idea. Because he's the only character to have a different drag value than the other fish. He's the only one. All the others have a drag of like 0.01, and then Leon has 0.02. Or maybe it's 0.1 and 0.2. I forget the exact numbers. Also, my previous record for Deepwater Dreams that I beat today, the one I shot today, I should clarify. That was 55 seconds, apparently. You can see on my live split. Assuming it is big enough to be readable, which it might not be. But I can see it if I look over real quick. 55 seconds. That's crazy. Okay. Thank you, Shark.
Speeding frenzy. Double frenzy. Double frenzy. Speeding frenzy.
I do want to talk about this stage for a second. This is probably the single most infamous stage in the entire game. I wouldn't say it's the hardest stage. It does have probably one of the biggest difficulty spikes in the game, but I think this is the stage that really solidifies that you are in the late game now, in terms of like game progression. More specifically, I think that this level is supposed to be a teaching moment for players as like, okay, here's what the late game is going to look like. Don't die. Which is a little harsh in execution, but in concept it works. Oh my fucking god! In concept it works. Now you can see why this level is so fucking infamous. Okay, that's enough. God damn. Before my Feeding Frenzy stage tier list took into account speedrunning, Surgeon Crossing, that stage, was my #1 pick stage. And it's still my favorite stage in the game, even if it does that. Was instant. Yeah. It's still my favorite stage, and the reason is mostly from a game design perspective. Just because, like, it is trying to do something very important for the game's progression, which is, teach the player how to survive in the late game. Does it do it perfectly? Absolutely not. But, like I said, it's a very important role that it needs to do. It could have done it far worse, quite frankly. It could have been more like Tuna Sashimi, which is an even harder stage, but Tuna Sashimi would not have worked in that slot because all the fish moving around do so unpredictably, whereas in Surgeon Crossing, all of them move in very predictable ways. The exception is the poison minnows, but they're just poison minnows, I guess. I don't want to call them largely superfluous for the stage because they're like a genuinely important part of the stage. They only show up once you prove that you can survive for a bit. But they aren't as impactful as the rest of the elements, and all of the super impactful elements all move in very predictable ways. All of the power-ups move directly up and down. All of the other fish, aside from poison minnows, move left to right, or right to left. So it helps you understand that you need to be dodging these things and what the fish density will be, but it doesn't do so in a way where it feels completely random. You still have a way to dodge everything. And that's very important. I think Surgeon Crossing is, I think, the closest this game gets to a fair bullet hell. I specify fair bullet hell because the other stages definitely give off unfair vibes. especially the last 6 regular stages with Orville. They are something else, man. I also want to say that it is officially too late for me to put together a full game run, and still like be respectful of my neighbors. So I will be wrapping up conversation and saying goodbye because I value my neighbors at least a little bit. So it's time to head out, I think. Feeding Frenzy Toho mod would go crazy? Probably, yeah. Um, Unfortunately, no world record run, but that's okay, because I had a lot of fun. And I did not go crazy. I mean, I went a little crazy, but I didn't go crazy. Thanks for all the good luck wishes. Thanks for sticking with me and helping me stay sane. I'll see you all next time. Um, I have been considering making like an actual video that would be Kirby related because it's my current hyperfixation. Um, so if I do end up doing that, stay tuned for that. If I don't, that's par for the course with me. um, but yeah, I will see you guys next time. Take care. I hope you have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. And I'll see you next time.